Jesus Christ. There's not even really a joke in there anymore. We're just saying gross things now.
Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
Oh, sorry, I just
Wow.
was coughing up some cottage cheese.
Oh,
Anyway.
well, I was wondering why I felt so good.
Gross.
Nice.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, as if we were gone.
Yeah, we've been here for years.
Oh my god,
7 years.
Fuck, don't remind me.
We're in year 8.
It's
going to be a good year, I think.
yeah, we keep saying that.
Yeah, and at some point,
It'll
it
start.
It will start.
Yeah, and then it'll continue. Yeah, and then we're going to be on a roll.
Quick reminder, this
Yeah.
is the year of not being horny on the podcast. So I just want everyone to be on their best behavior, please.
I mean, and I definitely didn't say anything right before getting on mic.
No, and I'm not, and this is our pledge. We will not in any way insinuate or infer anything horny for the year.
This is my pledge. I just cleaned the floor.
With pledge?
That's why I said this is my pledge.
Sure, yeah.
Are these
Yeah.
good jokes? See? We're funny when we're not horny.
If you like clean a mallet really well, it's your pledge hammer.
What's a pledge hammer?
I was trying to make a pun. See the word sledgehammer.
Oh!
You cleaned a mallet, so it's your pledge hammer.
Pledge hammer. I'm on my knees. Pledge hammer.
I love when you go to sing a song
And I don't know any of the
because you
words.
don't know the tune or
Ever.
the words, but you're like, I'm definitely doing it now.
Are you trying to say that I come in real cocksure and never back down even when I'm not appropriately set up to do the thing?
Listen. Your
Name one time.
your words, not mine. Fucking
Look, it's 90% of its confidence and what you can convince other people to go along with.
yeah. Listen, if this podcast had 90% confidence, we'd be doing a lot better.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you would be talking about DC Comics if it was.
I'm probably bringing the average down, if I'm being honest.
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
That's right. All you fucking plebes.
From the window to the
wall.
wall.
Yeah. Till the
man-
bombs are in your neck. These villains. Heck.
That's good.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and not horny.
Yeah. And not horny.
More
Most importantly, not horny.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Over all other grades.
Yeah.
Not being horny is
Entertainment
number one.
value down.
Yeah.
Motive, like rhythm and like momentum.
Goodness.
Down.
No.
But
Not horny.
unhorniness up.
Who's that for?
Our Q1 unhorniness numbers through
We're
the
gonna
roof.
win those Canadian podcast awards for being the
least horny. Yeah, that's like a key Canadian kind of podcast categories.
Which is ironic because I think they actually probably have one that's for most horny.
I think the horniest one is probably Peter Mansbridge's podcast because it's all the women my mom's age being like, I miss him as the anchor of the National.
Like to bridge his man.
easy,
Peter.
Yeah, hell yeah,
Nice.
hell yeah.
Amanda Waller,
Lives in Stratford, Ontario.
the wall herself.
Yeah, we're talking about Amanda the Wall Waller.
Yeah.
Which is sort of timely and appropriate because in comics right now, she is basically in the position of being the big bad of DC right now.
Really?
Yeah. We're just kicking off an event called Absolute Power, where she's basically aiming to strip superpowers from the world and essentially like end the age of superheroes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very similar to what's going on in The Boys.
Yeah, in its own way. Yeah, exactly. So an appropriate time to go back and talk about an iconic character.
Totally. And in the age of newly strong black females.
Yeah, I guess timing wise, this sort of looks like I'm doing. But
Yeah, no.
here's the thing.
That's what you said. Amanda Waller's just like Kamala.
Listen, I want to clarify. I had a different theme in mind, but due to its failing health, it had to drop out. And so now the new presumptive theme for this episode is Amanda Waller.
You know, Amanda Waller, she's coming around. She's going to get rid of all the superheroes.
This Trump impression is...
They're going to get rid of all the superheroes. It's going to be really bad.
What, you think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Hey, whoa.
You exist in the context
Oh my God.
of all that you will in and have been.
Amanda Waller, I'm going to say it, is brat.
I don't know what that means. I've seen that too online.
It's a Chapel Roan album name, and she said that Kamala is brat.
I hate that I'm 36 and I just
I'm a baby 36.
I hate that I'm 36 and I just like go online and I go, I don't know what that means. Why can't you be normal? And I'm just like, everything I see makes me angry, and I'm like, oh, I
get
I
it.
kind of get it.
Yeah.
Like I sort of get. Yeah.
I'm scared and not with it, and what I used to be with it whenever
and then they changed what it was.
Yeah. And it'll happen to you.
Back in my day, you tied an onion around your belt. That was the style at the time.
I got home today and literally my girlfriend and I spent like an hour being like, God, we're so fucking old. What does this mean?
Yeah.
So then I okay.
What does what mean?
But like all the things we just said.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. Sure.
And so then I texted the 16-year-old I know.
That's like, I don't. We'll cut this bit out.
No, it's fine. They used to be my employee. It's
yeah,
fine.
that definitely makes it sound better, not worse in any way whatsoever.
And so it's better. This is better. It's a group chat with another teen.
Yeah. I Snapchatted this 16-year-old.
No, I didn't.
I
It was a.
Hey, did you know that your Snapchats disappear after a day?
It was
anyway.
Two teens.
Cool, good.
And I messaged them and I
Jesus.
said, please explain to me the whole brat and the coconuts thing.
Yeah.
And they said, I was born for this. And I said, my girlfriend and I are trying to catch up and not be the oldest people who have ever existed.
Sure.
And then I said, what is a brat-coded presidency?
Yeah, God, I'm so lost.
And their
already.
response was girly pop, which made things more
That
confusing.
didn't help.
Nope.
Yeah.
Then they sent me voice memos that basically explained what it was and Chapel Roan, and I slightly get it.
Yeah.
And then I said, they said stop. You need to stop putting things in quotations in your texts.
Yeah, next thing you're going to say that I shouldn't like put a period at the end of a text, or I shouldn't use capital letters when a sentence starts.
Oh, that's literally what they just. Yeah, the next thing she says was, don't put a cap. Like get rid of your auto caps.
Insane. We started texting. We set the rules.
Yeah, this is our language.
This is our world.
You're
all
my
just
world
living
now.
it. Yeah. We started Facebook. We
That's
started
right.
texting.
That's
we
right.
started instant messaging.
You tell 'em.
We know how it's
Get 'em.
done.
Get off my lawn.
Anyway, what's a hot to go?
Yeah. I said. So I wrote back very sassy, and I said,
What's me espresso?
I said, Surrey, is this better? Do lowercase I seem young? YUNG.
There's
now.
no way they text like that though. That's like T9 texting.
Yeah. No,
they
no.
were probably like, that makes you look older.
Well, they said that there's a fine line, and I said, but I'm being brat. And they said no, and they said get a grip, and that's when I said I can't. I'm going to die in capital letters, and they said stop using auto caps.
Wow. So what you're saying to me is that this was an extended text conversation with two teenagers.
Don't worry, it ended where it was supposed to.
I mean, I would argue it was supposed to end before you sent the first one.
Oh, what you think was supposed to happen?
Yeah, because I'm writing good.
Of course.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah. So I know what teens like. I know what teens want.
Oh no. Oh no.
Teens like me.
Oh no, Your Honor.
All right, let's get to the Amanda Waller question.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's
It's a good time to move on.
let's talk about someone less a villain.
From Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram. And answer them.
Dem Jinkies asks, how exactly did Amanda get nominated to lead Task Force X in the first place?
So she didn't actually get nominated. She asked for it.
Oh,
No,
she was asking for it.
We'll clip that out.
That's what Reed always says is you get what you ask for.
You know what I always say about Amanda Waller? She was asking for it.
Yeah.
Running Task Force X, I mean. So she basically, after a bunch of family tragedies, like her husband gets like fucking shot and killed, her daughter gets assaulted, like shit like this.
Sure.
She determines that she's gonna like lift her family up out of poverty. Works hard, kind of, you know, in a sort of conservative way, like a conservative ideal way, sort of bootstraps it, just like
Sure.
magically gets all of her other kids through college and then gets through college herself. And has a political science degree, and then starts working for like a local congressman, runs his campaign, and then she does such a good job that she gets brought to Washington.
All of this is in comics? Like,
Yeah.
from the beginning?
Yeah.
Wow.
She gets brought to Washington and stuff like that. And while she's there and she's working, she's trying to figure out, like, what's her next move in politics or whatever. She stumbles across the files of the original Task Force X.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the Suicide Squad before.
Yeah,
The
it wasn't
first-
superheroes before, right?
It was soldiers.
Yeah.
She finds this file and she goes, I kind of want to revive Task Force X. I have an idea. And they go, yeah, all right.
Classic military.
And she basically starts like this thing called the agency and stuff like that eventually gets parlayed into what we now know as the Suicide Squad, where they press gang villains into
You know what the
things.
problem is? She's got a weird laugh.
What?
That's the thing that they're saying about Kamala Harris.
I mean, that's true. But on the scale of petty things.
Oh, I know. Well, look, it's
Trump is like a walking case of a bunch of petty things.
No.
And a bunch of real things.
it is just very funny that that's the best they've got.
Yeah, it is true.
They had 24 hours and they were like, she's got a weird laugh.
Weird laugh. Anyway, vote us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also, did you see the thing where they were mad because they spent so much money building a campaign against Biden, and then he left, and they were like, well, the Democrats need to pay us for switching.
They said that? That's so funny.
Isn't that the funniest?
Oh, those stupid fucks.
So like, we spent all of this money building a campaign around one guy, and then you just switch him out? That's not fair.
I mean, that's very funny.
So
and
good.
I would make the argument that should be the tactic from now on.
Yeah. Build it all up and then secretly just switch at the last minute.
Really funny to me.
So good.
So, but no, so she requests sort of reactivating the program. Then obviously she makes it into something else. But she's very.
But there was no specific reasons why she chose like villains, like super villains and stuff.
No, other than she's
Like one of her family members weren't
she's
killed by a
savvy.
villain.
She's no, not by like a super villain, just
Okay.
like crime.
Sure.
But like she's very savvy politically and stuff like that. But it's also like she does have this sort of like for the greater good
Sure.
kind of thing, right? Like we'll talk about it a bunch, but there are versions of Waller and you go like she's almost heroic and sympathetic, and then other versions of Waller you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And they sometimes feel like they don't fit together, but I would make the argument that they do, because especially in a world with someone like a Superman and stuff like that, we know the big thing is the problem that heroes come up against is the problem of compromise. And I think Waller really represents that fear of you compromise once and you could justify anything to yourself.
Sure.
Other characters have managed to come out of it, but like I think she sort of ends up representing that. The thing Batman's afraid of, the thing Superman's afraid of, the thing, you know? So, but yeah, so she asked to form Task Force X. It was just told yes.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. Those are the days.
yeah.
Next from Jeff Attack.
Yeah, remember back in the days when black women could achieve anything they wanted just by asking?
Yeah.
You
God.
said those are the days, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I know that was the joke.
Oh.
Yeah. Now we can start getting things better for the white man.
Oh no. Oh no. I don't like that.
Jeff Attack asks, I feel like Waller is written so differently depending on the writer. Sometimes she's an ally to the Justice League. Sometimes a morally gray necessary evil. Sometimes basically a morally bankrupt borderline villain. Where on the spectrum do you think she works best as a character?
So like I was just saying, I agree. And, if you just out of context take, this story of Waller or this appearance of Waller, and you put them next to each other, they look like different characters.
Sure.
I think a version that more or less bridges them, and I don't think this is a controversial stance, is I would say one of the best versions of interpretations of Waller outside of the comics, which is Justice League Unlimited and the Justice League cartoon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Amanda Waller as voiced by CCH Pounder.
I can't.
Insert It's Always Sunny. All the way to the TA.
Fucking so fucking good.
But that Waller, if you really look at what does she do and what are her motivations through that show, she gets put in the position where people on Earth are afraid of the Justice League and the power they wield. And so they start trying to think of countermeasures, and they run their simulations, and they go, the Justice League could easily overthrow the government, so we need a program. And they start sort of dubious illegal cloning thing and Black Ops things, and we have to take money from Lex Luthor. We have to sort of sell our souls to make these projects happen. We got to lie to the government. We've got to do all this stuff. I got to work with an insane, like with supervillains, like a evil sorceress and like a bad geneticist and things like that, but I'm doing it so that we have a deterrent to the Justice League. And we make these clones. They're called the Ultimates. They're based on the sort of extra characters from the Super Friends, like Apache Chief and Samurai and stuff like that. They make these characters called the Ultimates, and they're clones, but they die too soon. And they go, and she has to be like, well, we'll just make more. Just kill them, let them die, pull the plug, blah, 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 make more. All of that is like villain shit. But again, she's like, they're not real people. They're blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this to save America. Constantly, right?
Yeah.
Compromise at every step along the way until, she realizes she's been played by Luthor, by Brainiac. Batman points it out and she's like, you handle what you have to do. I'll handle what I have to do. And then she comes around and goes like, I've been used. I'll help you stop Luthor. And she kind of teams up with the Justice League a little bit there. And then they kind of go off and she goes like, but I still don't like, and I don't like your methods and blah, 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 blah. And, she'll unleash Doomsday, like a thing that could just tear the world in half, theoretically. Could kill Superman. And she goes, no, it's worth it. And we're going to fire a kryptonite nuke at the volcano where they're fighting. And objectively villain shit. But there's not one moment in that show where you go, she's beyond coming back, or where she can't, like, in a moment go, fine, for today, we're... Like, a good example for us is, like, a character like Crowley. Objectively bad, but can be an ally, but has his own motivations, can change an opinion, can do whatever. Waller is like that. She contains multitudes. She's a very complicated character. That's the whole point of her, is that she is morally ambiguous. Her motivations are, as with the real world, they're full of contradictions. You could make the argument that she's making things worse by muddying the moral waters, but she thinks she's making them better, or she thinks that she has to, or whatever.
I mean, that's what makes a good villain. Yeah.
It makes a good villain, but it also just makes a good character.
Yeah.
So when she is an ally, or when she's an uneasy ally, or when she's when Batman has to work with the Penguin, that's like working with Waller. It's kind of like this time we'll, whatever kind of thing. That's interesting. And the best way to play it is the sort of thing, like Waller sometimes gets plot armored a little bit, that she's like more of a Batman than Batman. Like where like you get to the end of the thing, they'd be like, they fucking broke her plan, and then she's like, "This is what I wanted them to do."
Oh, sure.
And you go like, "What?" you know,
Sure, yeah.
But I do think it works in that way of like, if you're being that 4-dimensional about your chess, you surely would also lose track of the morality of it too.
Yeah.
You know, where you just if that's how you see the things as just cause and effect to get to an end thing, that's like machine logic. It's so easy to then, these acts are evil, these ones are good. This thing at the end might not be evil or good. It's just what I want.
Sure, yeah.
Like I think that makes her interesting. So there are some examples where like maybe extremes get pushed a little far, but I'm of the opinion that there are the worst versions of Waller from a writing perspective aren't when she is fully bad or fully good. Those aren't out of character. The worst versions of Waller are where shit just, the plan doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Sometimes Waller is written dumb. Or not dumb, like, but like the plan doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it falls apart. Like the War for Earth 3, I'm like, what is she gaining by this?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, I don't like that Waller.
It's poorly written.
Or I think it's out of character. So it's not really about good or bad for me. It's about like, does your plan track or not?
Totally.
That's my feeling about Waller.
Next question
Oh, Sean Connery?
from Ben Forrester.
Oh, lock the door if you're coming in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Highlander.
Looks like you found Forrester. Well, no, because Sean Connery in Highlander famously is playing a Spaniard.
Of course.
Ramirez.
Fucking funny.
And then they cast a fucking Belgian to play the Scotsman.
Insane.
It's such a good movie.
Sexy Waller from New 52. Dear God, why did they make that change?
Yeah, I mean, so in the New 52, so Waller historically, very stocky, you know, kind of short, stocky. I mean, almost in some versions, almost drawn at like Kingpin proportions. Not height-wise, but you know, that just like insanely stocky and like kind of built. In the New 52, they sort of redesigned Amanda Waller to be like big tits, thin, kind of, which is, I don't know if the ideal was like this as younger Waller or like whatever, but
Sure.
I don't like it. They also made her more of like, she was like an active agent. Like in the New 52, her backstory includes like being on a team with like Steve Trevor and Slade Wilson and shit like that. Like doing actual operations, not just being the person puppeteering.
Sure. Yeah.
I just think it's just a miscalculation. The New 52 is full of those, you know, like Hot Lobo was a mistake.
Of course.
You know, there's a few of those kind of things, but yeah, that one's up there because I do feel like I don't think inherently her physicality should matter.
Yeah.
But A, it's nice to see a character that looks different
Yeah.
from every other character. And B, I do think it kind of undermines her as like that sort of like cold administrator or whatever. It's like where she's got to be steps ahead because she's not just an amazing secret agent. You know, like I sort of, you know what I mean?
But also she didn't succeed from like pretty privilege and like things like that. Yeah.
She overcomes and stuff like that. Yeah, I do feel like it undermines it a little bit to be like, look how fucking hot Waller is.
Yeah. Give her what she ever asks for.
Yeah. Waller, I hardly know her.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
And the next question.
What do you mean hot Waller? I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember, unhorny.
That's right. Yeah. Next question from Tristan Basile.
I mean, thank you. I love that you do that now.
Basile. Who asks, why is DC editorial giving Waller the Maxwell Lord treatment? Does this mean, like in the 2000s with Lord and 2010s with Red Hood, that DC editorial just doesn't know what to do with a morally gray character?
when anytime a question starts with why does DC editorial, I know that the person doesn't like the thing. I mean, I understand what you're saying. This thing that's playing out right now with Waller is, in some ways, the most outwardly villainous Waller has been maybe ever. She's like fully going to war with superheroes, nakedly turning public opinion against them. You know, like really, it's like a full-on evil plan, essentially. Even though her motivation remains the same. She thinks that largely they are threats.
Sure.
You know, stuff like that. And so she's been in cahoots with fucking the United Lord Tharos from the United Planets. They've quarantined Sector 2814 for her.
Oh, wow.
I mean, among other things, but sort of for her. She's been in cahoots with Trigon. She's got Trigon doing shit for her, and that Waller is pulling big strings right now. I think the comparison to Maxwell Lord is unfair. The thing with Maxwell Lord was he was always just like a shifty businessman, a kind of like a little crooked, but not like evil. And then in 2005, he shoots Blue Beetle in the fucking skull. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, fuck. And that was a big kind of turn. And for some people, they were like, that feels like a lot for Maxwell Lord or whatever. It doesn't, I try to come from the position of, but this is where the story goes, so let's find a way to make it work. But there's obviously things I don't like too sometimes. I think that comparison is unfair, though, because if you look at Maxwell Lord from his JLI era, from when we were meeting him, he was, again, crafty, cunning, a little selfish, greedy. Yes. Conniving. Yes. But evil. No. But you look at Waller and it's she's press ganging criminals into things. She's going to just fucking kill them if they go rogue.
Yeah.
And that's not it's not well, we'll subdue you and bring you back to jail. It's no, I'll just fucking kill you because you're disposable because I don't give a shit about you.
Sure, yeah.
And in the initial one, she was if you do this mission, you get pardons. And now the Suicide Squad thing is you work off your sentence.
Sure.
She was you'll get pardons. And then they succeed in the mission and she's never mind. And it's Rick Flag who's honor your fucking word.
Sure.
She at every turn goes to make a bad choice like that. Sometimes, yeah, Waller goes, I care a little bit about them or whatever, but she'll be nobody, it's more of a nobody kills my team but me.
Sure.
That's really her thing, so I understand that what's happening with absolute power and stuff is it's for Waller to be the bad of the thing is a change, but it's not the same as it being out of character.
Sure.
It's just that she's not off on the side while other things are happening, playing her own thing. It's now this is her moment for a thing.
Totally.
And it's not a surprise to anyone that somewhere in this, she's going to go, did I make this worse? And you know what I mean? There will be something, a moment of realization, a regret or something like that. Because ultimately her motivator is keep ordinary people safe. America, even more specifically. Keep ordinary America safe, sort of thing. She's obviously way off the deep end right now, but I don't think it's out of character. That's my feeling about it. I know some people are upset about it, but I let it play out. I want to see it. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But if we get in and I go oh, this was the plan, then I kind of go
yeah.
Thus far, she's been real master manipulator of shit.
So you're just waiting for it to play out.
Night Terrors, Beast Worlds, these events, she's kind of been either behind it or very opportunistic about it, and that's total Waller.
Totally.
I love it. So, yeah.
Next question from Nick DeReicher, who asks, does Waller have a one bad day can drive a sane woman to extreme patriotism moment like the Killing Joke?
Yeah, I mean, so her origin, her initial origin is devastating Because again, she grows up in this like slum in Chicago. She gets married. She has like 6 kids or something like that.
Is this Seattle, Chicago, or?
Listen to Ghostfacers. Everything's a crossover. She has like 6 kids, and then like one day, like her husband gets like shot. It's like a mugging gone wrong.
Yeah.
Her daughter gets SA'd.
Jeez.
And shit like that, and then killed, or she killed herself. I can't remember.
It's a real fucking Bronson situation.
It's like, and she's like, fuck this, and she manages to kind of get her kids through school, gets herself through school, this sort of thing. But it's like, because it's an interesting backstory, because it's like she comes from this poverty and stuff like that, and then as soon as she gets out, there's an element of like the control thing. I think that's where her need for control comes from, and I think there's something interesting character-wise about that. Batman has the same thing. Random crime takes people from him, and his thing is control. Waller is similar in a lot of ways. They go about it very differently, but a real similar kind of motivator. I mean, it's her origin. Everyone has an origin. I don't know that it's the same as the full one bad day kind of thing, but it's a lot that happens to multiple members of her family. So it's a sort of compiling of things. Yeah,
totally. Next question from Alfred is Zaddy, who asks, if you had to pick a DC character who represents the anti-Waller, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I mean, we got this question. There was one that was similar to it, which is like, does Waller have like a good foil? And I think the answer to it is the obvious one. I think it's Rick Flag.
Oh, sure.
And the Suicide Squad books play them off each other really well. Where it's like Waller's like, I want you to do something, and maybe Flag, because he's a soldier, he goes, there's no honor in that, or whatever. She goes, it's the mission. Or he'll be like, no, we should do the right thing, and she'll be like, no, follow orders, and he's going rogue. Like,
the movie does a good job of that. Yeah.
They're both complicated characters. It would be an oversimplification and incorrect to say Rick Flag is an orders following rule boy.
Yeah.
That's not true. And it's also not true to say that Waller is like a total like Machiavellian
fucking Joker
monster.
Yeah.
Also not true. But they play off each other really well all through like that original kind of like Ostrander run and stuff, and in lots of other versions where her motivation isn't the same. Like, he's got motivation as a team leader and a more kind of personal connection maybe to some of the team members. He also has a different like sort of relationship to like honor and his personal code in that than Waller does. I mean, Waller has a personal code, but they're very different.
Totally.
I think they end up being good foils for each other. Both very complicated. Both sort of operating in a world where they need to believe in and have a sort of like hierarchical structure, that like a sort of power that they can rely on, while also at any point along the way undermining it if it doesn't suit their thing. The number of times Flag has gone rogue, or Waller has like ordered them to do something horrible, or it happens a lot. So I think it's Flag. In the New 52, it wasn't Flag, it was Steve Trevor.
Oh.
So in the New 52, Waller puts together the Justice League of America, which she does to basically sort of pair off people she thinks could take down each member of the Justice League.
Oh, interesting.
So she's got like Martian Manhunter and Catwoman and Vibe, and they're all sort of paired off by their powers or by their personalities to essentially like take on the Justice League.
So it's like a different version of the Suicide Squad. It's like a good version, kind of.
Totally. Steve Trevor is like the liaison there and sort of like leading that team. But Steve Trevor is essentially slotted into the Rick Flag position.
Yeah, of course.
Which, to like put this team together.
Yeah,
and make them, like do that sort of thing and be the human kind of face on it and things like that. So a sort of a soldier character who is not like a full on a soldier character with like a certain amount of individuality.
Not a fascist, yeah.
Not a fascist. Like, so Steve Trevor, Rick Flag, those are good foils for her. Captain Atom would be horrible. You know what I mean? Like, but that I think is the best version of a sort of anti-Waller.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because there are also people that have doubts about people with powers or misgivings, or they want to look after their nation's interest as opposed to, you know what I mean? Like, those are all present in all three of them, but they clash in other ways.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that means we are leaving Instagram and heading over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice, no one's ever mean.
First question comes from Parabellum X420. Nice. Who asks, if you were a citizen in the DC universe, would you feel better or worse knowing that someone like Amanda Waller was out there? Longtime listener, first time question asker. Thank you very much.
How do you feel about that? If I mean, if we lived in a world with superheroes and supervillains, how would you feel about like knowing that someone like Waller is out there and wields that much power?
I mean, terrible. I mean, that's like saying, like, imagine if you had somebody in the government who like took prisoners and made them go fight in like Iraq. Like, it's like that's not good. Like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
It's like that's not like a good thing. I think like no. I feel like extreme fascism or fucking
Trudeau gets on TV and he's be like, "We've sent Paul Bernardo and and Robert Picton to fucking Bosnia."
I mean that's slightly different than like what I think the regular Suicide Squad is.
I mean, the Suicide Squad is full of killers, and
but it's not like
Captain Boomerang is absolutely like a sexual assault.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's got a sleazy, awful. They sort of infer.
Okay, I still feel the same way, but slightly less.
Sure,
because I think that like I don't want a situation where we are. Yeah, we're like. I mean, here's the thing. It's like, it's all fucking made up. But, like, in the real world, most of the like, bad people are either, like, coming from the wrong perspective or they have a mental health condition.
I feel like in the real world, our version of the Suicide Squad is, like, private, like, military corporations. Like, when they hire BlackRock to go to Iraq and do shit.
And
like,
that's bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's our version of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't like it.
No, neither do I. I think, like...
So if every once in a while on TV they were like, "Here's the Secretary of Bad Decisions," and then
Yeah, because, like, the less... like, war is bad enough. Now, take a group that it takes it less personally.
yeah, or they're almost gleeful about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
They
like-
don't care about collateral damage.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's...
The mission at all costs. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
any of that.
Yeah, because at least like with the war now, it's like, well, we are doing it because it's a job, but the people who are theoretically leading these people are doing it because they're trying to accomplish something, not because they're just trying to do what they were told.
And to be clear, in the year of our Lord 2024, someone that undermines the foundation of free societies
Yes.
to further their specific personal version of what they think the objective is bad.
Yeah, no. It's yeah. People taking advantage of the government to be able to further their own career is not good.
You know, like
as we're currently seeing it in on the like current political spectrum, it's not a
so
good
yeah,
thing.
no, I would not like to know that there's a Waller.
No, it's bad. All right, next question from Galaxy Eyes Ruler, who asks, Hola, greetings from Chile.
Whoa.
My question is,
Santiago or other cities.
Fernando, my cousin's husband, what's up?
What?
David just got married to a guy from Chile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
His name's Fernando.
I like
Maybe
that.
that's how he found it. Hello.
Oh.
Or hola.
Hola. Yeah.
Es muy bueno.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen. He's not from Warme. He's from Chile.
He's not from Soup A. He's from Chile.
He's from Chile. Yeah. Hell yeah.
He's not from
And neighboring nation Slope Joe.
nice. He's not from Anxiety. He's from Chile.
That's good.
Thank you. Just eating fucking McDonald's in the podcast as per usual.
Do whatever I want.
So, My question is, what's her best adaptation? Is it the Justice League cartoon?
I mean, that's way up there. If it's not number one, it's number two, I would say.
Yeah.
CCH Pounder as Amanda Waller is fucking amazing. Like, really nuanced performance. I mean, I saw this interview or read it somewhere where she was like, they were like, how did you get into, like, character, like, this world and that? She goes, I never understood anything about it. They're like, she'd be like,
incredible.
I just went in and said the lines. And she'd be like,
Amazing.
Like, had no, she's just a good actor, you know? But her Waller
What's
is
a swamp thing?
her Waller's fucking great. There are scenes where she's standing down Batman and, like, imagine a character that's not in a mask, not in a super suit, not even holding a gun, looking at Batman, staring him in the eyes, and he blinks. And conveying that, like, just with voice. You know, like, I know when you watch it, there's animation, but she has to sell the performance, and she does. Like, there's a great one where, like, he breaks into her apartment while she's in the shower, and he's like, we have to talk. He's being Batman or whatever. It's Kevin Conroy. And they have this back and forth, and he's like, I don't like the way you do things. And she's like, I don't like your space station. And he's like, we could shut you down anytime. She goes, oh, well, I could tell everyone who you are, rich boy.
Wow.
And he kind of just has this, like, we'll be in touch. Like, Batman has to fucking, like, shrink away.
Oh, I fucking love that.
She's so good. I love the Justice League Unlimited Amanda Waller. That's absolutely up there. There have been a few other versions. So, live action version number 1 is from Smallville, where she's played by fucking legend Pam Grier.
Holy shit.
And she's pretty cold in that one. She press gangs Icicle into attacking and killing some members of the Justice Society. And then he's like, so you're going to let me go, right? She just fucking shoots him and kills him. Pretty good. There's the Green Lantern movie, features Amanda Waller.
Does it?
But she's not the Amanda Waller we know. She's a scientist that looks at alien
That's
bodies.
right.
And she fucking dies in that movie. Why
an
introduce
insane
her?
movie.
What, like, for no reason. No reason. But that's Angela Bassett.
But do they show her dying multiple times?
No,
Well,
not
then
even.
why even-
In a movie where
They love to do
every
that.
death is 4.
Yeah. Everybody got 4 deaths.
It's Angela Bassett, who's great, but, like, not in that role, because that role is nothing. So that's too bad. There's, of course,
The Suicide Squad.
there's of course Viola Davis,
Yeah.
who between Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker,
Fucking nailed
is
it. Ugh.
and a post credit scene from Black Adam. Or no, she's in Black Adam.
Yeah,
she's in
yeah.
Black Adam. Yeah, she's. Fuck. I wonder which character has made the most appearances by the same actor in any DC franchise.
product?
Is it Amanda Waller?
Huh.
But
Yeah.
she's so good.
Yeah.
And you know, that first Suicide Squad movie plays her as, like, cold but efficient. That second Suicide Squad movie plays her as, like, cold and efficient, but there's like a pride thing.
Yeah.
Because she gets psychotic in that one. Like, when she's like, your mission's over, come back. And
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, well, Starro's going
Right
to kill all
there,
these
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
And they turn around. Like, all they're doing is, like, we're just going to clean up the mess more.
Yeah.
And she's like, you sons of bitches, get the fuck out the fucking thing. And they have to hit her with a golf club to stop her
Yeah.
from blowing the, like, that's maybe, like, a more psycho Waller than even in the comics, but, like,
It's great.
I really like it, and it's, like, sinister.
Yeah.
I really like Viola Davis as Waller. I'm glad that she's still Waller.
Yeah.
She's probably my number 1.
I think so.
It's
Yeah.
her and then CCH Pounder, I think.
Of course.
Really, really good. Yeah.
All right. Next question from Diaper Gal Kate, who asks, was she ever a different race? I ask because Nick Fury used to be white until World War II. Always looked like they were similar characters to each other. Thanks.
I mean, structurally, I think that you're right to say that they are similar-ish. Waller is a little less espionage, other than the fact that she puts a team out to do stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right in sort of broad sense.
Yeah, not personality.
Broad sense. They occupy a similar sort of spaces.
Yeah.
But no, Waller has always been black. There is no version of Waller before 1986.
Love that.
She first appears in Legends #1, so it's an event comic.
Wow.
Where she shows up and the Suicide Squad shows up and stuff like that. And yeah, she's always been black. Unless someone made like the shittiest alternate Earth and it's out there somewhere, you know.
Sure.
I'm Amanda Waller. Like unless that's out there, she's always been black. The only thing they've ever changed about her is her sort of stature
And her amount of tits.
and not amount.
I mean, not in
The new
quantity.
52, yeah, new 52. She had 3.
I meant more of like like the
Yeah, go on.
know,
3, 2, 1.
the thickness of her titness.
Whoa, 3, 2, 1. You're remembering to cut these all out, right?
Anyways, next question comes to us from Dr. DC Resident Neo, who asks, "Hey guys, long time. Thanks for keeping on with the best podcast ever."
Bailey.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll never stop.
We're in season 9. We may as well keep going.
8. You're 8.
Oh, you meant this one.
Oh, I see what you're doing. No, this is the
Oh
good
man,
one.
you fucking played right into my fucking hand.
He's talking about ghost faces, but I like this one. And by the way, the critics like this one.
Yeah, well, what is the critics have ever known?
Hey, they know to keep giving us awards, baby.
Yeah, nyum nyum nyum. The least
Yeah.
horny
To
this
meet
year.
our demands, essentially, is what they know.
I mean, it's really more of our listeners'
Yeah,
demands.
yeah.
My question: do you think Amanda Waller would want to have powers? And if you watched The Boys, how would Amanda act or exist in that universe?
I mean, Waller in The Boys is probably not unlike Jeffrey Dean Morgan's
Character
from this current season. I mean, that's obviously also pretty on the sinister side, but, Butcher-esque,
Yeah.
But the thing with Butcher is he gets his hands... I mean, Waller will too, but not maybe that often. But something like that a little bit, I would say. Now, would Waller want powers?
I'm surprised they haven't given her.
I think in general, no, because that is fundamentally a motivating thing for her. Is like
people
what?
with powers are bad.
Not even necessarily that, but what about us? So whether it's get rid of them, there should be no powers, or the Justice League has too much power, we have to balance it. Because she'll use people with powers, but it's always but I'm not one. I'm not gonna turn myself into one.
Interesting.
The closest I think you get with Waller is she at one point gets a device that allows her to take remote control of Chemo. Chemo,
Sure.
the giant living
Yeah.
vat of chemicals, the archenemy of the Metal Men.
Yeah.
She does get the ability to take control of Chemo, and it sort of morphs to look like her.
Oh,
she
wow.
can control Chemo for a bit. That's maybe the closest you get to her having powers. Her thing is more about there's a sort of different use of the word power, but there's a sort of power to making people with powers sort of bend to your will. Her thing is
course.
leverage. Waller has leverage on everyone.
Sure.
How do these people join up? Even the heroes in that. It's maybe you've got a brother that has a little problem. We see it in the Suicide Squad movie. Her threatening to send Bloodsport's daughter to prison and be
Yeah.
oh, it would suck if she was tried as an adult and died in prison. You go what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's Waller. So it's a leverage thing, and I do think there's a sort of proving the point. Be all your strength and still
Sure.
work for me.
All that strength, and what did it get me?
Yeah. Well, she loves TikTok.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Next question comes to us from Luzar, who asks, Which hero has Waller bumped heads with the most? I know the DCAU and DCEU play up on Batman and Waller's disdain for each other. Is there a hero in the comics she has bigger problems with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, just by sheer number of appearances, I gotta bet that it's Batman.
Yeah.
Even when it's like the Justice League, I think Batman ends up being the one that like
Leads the charge. of
I'll
hate.
talk to her,
Yeah,
or like,
yeah.
or you know, she comes after him. She knows who he is. Like that.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
sort of because he's also a dude, like just like a. I don't mean like a man. I mean like non-powered.
Oh, sure. Well,
I think there's a thing where it's like, for her, she's like, of all of them, you're the one that maybe gets me. Like,
And
they're
also-
fucking scary. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Batman's like, yeah, they are fucking scary. That's why I've got bullets for all of them.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I think she sees that in Batman. And from Batman's perspective, he's like, you're just going to prove her point, intimidating her with your powers. Like, tactically,
Sure.
it makes sense for Batman to be the one to maybe.
But also,
chat
like,
with her.
it's two sides, right? Like, it's poverty and wealth, and like,
But totally. But they also play the same game. Like Batman does this thing. We've talked about it, and sometimes we make fun of it, where it's like the Green Lanterns aren't allowed to patrol Gotham.
Sure.
Like he made a deal with the fucking Guardians that his
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
ass city is like out of their jurisdiction.
hilarious.
You know, like we laugh at that sometimes, but like Waller does that too, where she's like, "Fine, I'll let you do this, but I get carte blanche over it." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
I've but, like
Wheeling and dealing.
they
and,
both
yeah.
they're very similar in some ways, so I do think that does make them gravitate and clash a little bit more.
Yeah.
In what's happening right now in the lead up to Absolute Power, the way it's playing out is she's clashing with the Titans because the Titans are the world's superhero team right now. There is no Justice League.
Oh, wow.
The Justice Leaguers exist, but they disbanded the Justice League after Dark Crisis, and they've handed their role essentially to the Titans.
Oh, wow.
They didn't say you're the Justice League now. They said you're the Titans. You save the world your way.
Oh,
So
interesting.
the Titans, are like Nightwing, Cyborg, Beast Boy, they are the world's superheroes now.
That's cool.
So they're the ones bumping up against Waller a lot. Waller and her Bureau of Sovereignty have taken over the old Hall of Justice. It's now called the Hall of Order.
Of course.
Very fascist, kind of
yeah.
shit and stuff like that. She's bumped heads with Green Arrow a lot lately. Green Arrow's even working for her now.
Oh, wow. That's very different.
There's like shit going on. But I think almost certainly, objectively, it's got to be Batman as an individual hero that she bumps heads with the most.
Yeah, that makes
Probably.
sense. Yeah,
I have a hard time imagining it's anyone other than him.
totally.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's leave Reddit and head over to the Doc Score.
Oh, fuck.
Just a song from the Doc Score.
Yeah, an easy song to think
Yeah,
of.
just going to a song.
Ooh.
Yep.
What
Song
is
time.
a song? I know songs.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think I don't know songs.
No, I even if you didn't,
I know songs.
You've had lots of time
Name
to think
one.
about it.
Name any song. I'll show you that
Well,
I
that's a
know
nice try, but you
Fuck.
can think of a song.
Fuck. I was so close.
If I had 1,000,000 Doc Scores.
That's no, too easy.
Welcome to our old Doc Score.
Again, I love when you sing a song I don't know the tune or the words. Welcome to our old dog score.
This is where we used to dox.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got over there, you with a question. You're sitting on the docks of the Scored. Scored in a bit of a
Oh, sorry.
docks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Sitting on the dock of the bay.
Yeah.
Is that Otis Redding?
Look, I don't. We obviously all hate Louis C.K., but I do like that joke.
I mean, that's a very you kind of joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First question for the Doc Scored comes from a Crimson Raven who asks, has Waller ever had a genuine personal connection with any of the Suicide Squad, like developing a soft spot for them, or does she only view them as tools?
I think I think it's a little bit of both. in that sort of like really like fucked up relationship kind of way where it's like if it's going well, I think she does have a little bit of a wee bit of a empathetic soft spot for them. I think her and Deadshot have a little bit of that. Like they've got a very fraught kind of thing, but I think ultimately there's a little bit of something with her and Deadshot. I mean, in an even more personal way, a current member of her squad is Deadeye, who is her nephew. He's basically like a psychic sniper.
But he's bad?
Well, he doesn't want to be, but she's got leverage on him, you know? But, like, again, that's her nephew. She's got leverage on him, you know what I mean? But also, if Deadshot, if it's going well and he's like, yeah, I'm a team player, I'm making the Suicide Squad work, blah, 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 then, yeah, I think as soon as he goes, like, what if I don't want to? Then she goes, then I'll blow your fucking head off. Like,
sure.
I think the instances are rare in which a character has so much of a spot for her that it would trump any other
thing she was trying to accomplish.
Like even more than Batman, Waller is like the mission.
Sure.
You know? Which makes her dangerous. Because it means that any partnership or allyship is ultimately temporary because at some point something will conflict with her goals.
Yeah.
Just inevitably. Which means even if she was a longtime ally, as soon as it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And she'll go the other way, you know? And that makes her dangerous, I think.
Next question from Mara in Iowa, who asks, so my knowledge of Amanda Waller is mostly from TV and movies, with my first introduction to the character that I remember coming on Arrow. The
Arrow one. Didn't even mention her.
I liked that portrayal, but I know some didn't. How close was it to the standard characterization of Waller in the comics? Is the Suicide Squad versions from the movies better or just different?
Yeah, so, I mean, good to bring that up. I forgot that when we were listing versions of Waller. So the version of Waller on Arrow this is clearly also during New 52 era of Waller because she's this sort of like rail thin, very pretty kind of type.
Yeah.
But here's what I like about her. She plays her stern, she plays her focused and determined, she plays her a couple of steps ahead, and she plays her as largely unyielding. That, I think, works really well. She's got a very stoic, very serious kind of vibe. I would make the argument that Arrow's version of Waller is maybe the most compromising.
Oh, interesting.
She's one where it's like ultimately she'd be like, fine, I'll do it.
Oh, wow.
Like, she ends up fucking dying.
Wow, that doesn't seem like her at all.
In season 4 or 5?
Oh, wow.
I can't remember. I can't remember if it's during the Ra's al Ghul season or the Damien Dark season or... I think I dropped off somewhere in the Prometheus season, so I feel like I watched her die in season 3 or 4. But, she fucking dies, and it's kind of because she doesn't stick to her plan, I think. It's when she starts going like, fine, I'll help you, Arrow, or but like sort of thing. Or like there's like that sort of like if anything, she probably is a little less but one of my goals than other versions of Waller. I like her. I think the performance in general is pretty good.
Yeah.
And like gets a lot of the sort of tone of her, I would say, right. But it's, and this is no slight to the actress that played her on Arrow, but it's like you're going up against CCH Pounder and Viola Davis, like two like powerhouse black actresses, you know, like I don't know what you're supposed to do with that, you know. I would put her above the Angela Bassett one, which is a nothing character. I'd probably even put her above Pam Grier. I think Pam Grier is good, but she's in like a little bit of Smallville and it's fine. I'd probably put her third, the Arrow one. She's solid, but
totally.
Yeah.
Next question from Mars D95, who asks, has Amanda Waller ever interacted or teamed up with Maxwell Lord? I feel like they'd make a menacing duo.
Yeah, they've had a couple of run-ins. There's one time in that sort of, I think, original Ostrander run, where the Squad goes in and she tries to either sell them out or frame the JLI for something going wrong. And so they have a sort of interaction in there, in that, like, they're sort of on opposite sides of the board a little bit. And I use that as a metaphor because they both end up being members of Checkmate.
Oh, okay.
Checkmate is an organization we've talked about in different forms, but in the sort of Infinite Crisis era, the era where Maxwell Lord does his big heel turn, the version of it was you have ranks that are named for the chess pieces. Knights are your operatives. Bishops are like your clandestine planners. There's rooks make strategies. Like they all have a thing to do. Pawns are your random admins and stuff like that. Yeah. But then there was also like a black king and queen, not necessarily
Beyonce
of
and
race.
Jay-Z.
Yeah, not necessarily of race, but the black side of Checkmate was operations, and this is going to sound racist. Don't clip this out. The white side was intelligence.
Jesus.
In the espionage sense. At one point, Maxwell Lord was Black King when he was using Checkmate to develop the Omax and kills Blue Beetle and does all that shit. Waller ends up becoming White Queen after that and sort of taking over and running Checkmate in that sense for a bit. It ends up making a new Suicide Squad out of that.
Of course.
But they have some vague sort of tangential interactions, but probably fewer direct ones than you would expect. But there are a couple of sort of, they're in each other's spheres for sure. Yeah.
But and
actually at one point in the New 52 or during Justice League versus Suicide Squad, I think Maxwell Lord is actually on her Suicide Squad. I might be messing that up, but there was a sort of reveal that she had all these characters that we hadn't seen in a long time in the New 52, like the original Lobo, Dr. Polaris, shit like that. I feel like Lord was involved in that too in some way. They have something happens in Justice League versus Suicide Squad that involves Maxwell Lord as well.
Wow.
So there's a few Waller Lord interactions.
Next question from Drago, the Black Rose, who asks, has anyone ever tried assassinating Amanda Waller in the DC universe? How does she manage to stay below the radar of the killers in the DCU?
Constantly.
Okay.
Always. And often her own team members,
Sure,
keep in mind, she is the warden. In some versions later, she's been portrayed as the warden of Bel Rev. But it should be noted that in the original run, when she first starts Task Force X back up
a government employee,
they operate out of Bel Rev, but the warden is John Economos, Steve Agee's character.
Oh, wow.
And in Peacemaker Season 1, at the end of that season, when they out the Suicide Squad and Waller, Economos gets promoted to warden of Bel Rev.
Oh, wow.
So his character from the James Gunn Suicide Squad is the warden of Bel Rev normally.
Crazy.
Now, even that movie puts Waller in the position of being essentially the warden there. But that's what that character is. Sorry, what's the question again?
Assassinate.
Right. So she's the warden of this like super prison. Everyone in there wants her dead. So that right away, bunch of internal attempts.
I mean, everybody wants her dead. Yeah.
And then also foreign countries, when they go into fucking Iraq and stuff to like disrupt governments and whatnot. Like, yeah, people want her dead. Sometimes she fakes her own death. Sometimes she, like, again, they play her as this chess master sort of thing. So she's a few steps ahead, so she knows that this will be an attempt. So the squad's doing this to distract. So, or she's got leverage or whatever. If anything happens to me, that blah, blah, blah. It's hooked up to my pulse. If you kill me, then blah, blah, blah happens.
Sure,
like, she's got all of that kind of shit. Like, they do have, in many ways, sort of Batmaned her. maybe to a point where it's ludicrous, but like to be honest, it never bothers me.
Yeah.
I love a character that's just like impossibly far ahead. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it
It's
just
fun.
feels like a Bond villain kind of like.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it. At a certain point, even in the world of comic books, we're stretching the credibility of storytelling sometimes, but it doesn't usually bother me that much. But she's always got some shit like that. Like,
she also
fine, you can shoot me, but have you thought about what will happen to your daughter? Or like, if something happens to me and Task Force X doesn't exist anymore, then I wonder if the president's little affair will. But like, she has dirt on everyone. She has leverage on everyone. She's got bombs in necks. She's got like guns trained on families. She's got everything.
But also, she doesn't win. So it's like, even with all of those things, she doesn't technically win.
Well, but it's that thing of like they'll live to fight another day.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
And it's better to keep it going than to have it all end.
Yeah.
So Waller, also a master of compromise. You know, like sometimes she'll be like, this is my big thing. It's not to say she never gets defeated. She does, but she'll find a way in defeat to keep in play.
Sure.
That's the bigger thing. Again, in a sort of
Crowley,
Blofeld kind
or-
of,
yeah,
you know, sort of way. And I like that too, where it's like you can have a character who definitively loses, but then she goes, yeah, that didn't happen. But I did learn what orange kryptonite does.
Sure,
and now I'll
yeah,
keep
yeah.
that in mind for next time. And she's off in the shadows somewhere.
Sure,
And like,
yeah, yeah.
I do dig that as a sort of story thing too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I like that.
no.
Last question from our buddy, Dave Rossi.
Dave.
Our fucking the best among us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're too pure for this world.
I mean, truly. Who asks, does Amanda Waller have a vulnerability in the form of a relationship?
Right.
If so, who would that be? Love you guys. Love you too, Dave.
I mean,
Like her kids, right? Like,
theoretically, but the New 52 made a more deliberate decision where they were like, she's cut her family off from herself.
so she could be.
Partly to save them, because then they won't be leverage against
Sure,
her,
yeah.
but also
So they don't get in the way.
so they don't get in the way. Because they could be leverage against her.
Yeah.
So both ways, for their
Yes.
safety and for her to be less compromised. Technically speaking, Waller is still a person. She has vulnerabilities. She has emotions. She can be dealt with. But
We haven't seen it. Yeah.
she's pretty callous.
Yeah.
Nieces, nephews. She'll, I think that version in the Suicide Squad is right. It's like, yeah, I'll send a kid to jail. Because also she's like, I mean, technically the kid's a criminal. It's just justice playing out. It's not my fault if I don't step in. Like, there's all these
Sure.
kind of fucked up. And it's so fucked up in a way, too, when you think of, like, where she came from. And then going, like, but I have the power now. So
It's different.
I do this for me.
Yeah.
You know, like, she says that it's for this or whatever, but like she's not like working to better a situation.
No.
Or rarely working to better a situation. There's examples, but it's kind of tough to think of one actually, because I think for the most part she's pretty estranged from her kids. In Peacemaker, they even throw in her daughter in there, and like that relationship's clearly not good.
Sure, yeah.
There's it's interesting. I would hazard a guess at saying no, because I do think at a certain point she's come too far. She has a little bit of a sunk cost kind of fallacy thing too, where it's like, you think I worked all this, I tore down all of these things, just so that in this moment I'd blink. Usually the only thing that could do it is like the alternative will actually like undo her plan. You know what I mean? Like, if she's in the middle of something bad and then a big villain shows up, he's like, but I'll blow up the world. She's like, but I live on the world. You know, like, it's like, I can't do my shit if there's no shit to do it on.
Sure, yeah,
like, that's usually the way to swing her back around, or to have a third act kind of face turn or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, but it's no fun if there's no fucking continents or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's always like some shit like that. So, strictly speaking, surely there is something, but I also think like good luck.
Fair.
You
yeah.
know?
Well, that was the last question. We would love to hear from you residents, and you can ask about questions for future episodes.
That's right, and you'll see when those themes go out.
I was
baby.
trying to not
No, I want everyone to know that I'm being deliberate about it.
that you don't have a plan.
I am being deliberate about it.
about not having a plan
About having one that I will not disclose. / cannot disclose.
because you don't have one.
Because I don't want to.
Oh,
And can't. And won't.
but what with the camp part?
And wouldn't be able to. And shouldn't.
Because
And don't. Because no. And but I do.
okay,
So
could you prove it? Could you just like meld it to me so I know?
absolutely.
You didn't actually.
Oh, yeah. So at any rate, that's what it'll be. You'll see it when it goes out. Dr. DC podcast on all the platforms.
If you like what we're doing on this free channel, why don't you pay some?
Oh yeah, give us your money.
That's right.
$1, $5, $7 level over at patreon.com/DrDC. They all give you access to the Discord, our awesome Discord fan community, and at the higher levels you get bonus episodes, you get bonus series like
You're at the end of Cerebros.
I know in a couple of weeks there'll be a sort of bonus episode for Deadpool and Wolverine to sort of cap off that era of the X-Men. But yeah, that series is done. So a new series will probably come in the next month and a bit. But there's bonding time. There's Toretto talks. All of it helps to support us.
And we are about to enter Eatgist.
Holy shit. Eatgist is coming.
Yeah.
Gird your loins.
Protect your
Your
gird.
pork loins, that is.
We need to prepare for that, by the way.
Yeah, we do. I forgot what it was already. I know we talked about
It's
it.
okay. Make sure you do that. And if you don't have any money and you want to be able to
Get out of here.
well, and get over to our other free
Yeah.
show.
Get out of my DC
And
and into the boys' car.
But not The Boys, the TV show.
No, the
Though
Winchesters.
ironically, same creator.
Go listen to Ghostfacers, the Supernatural.
Rewatch, where we go through every single episode of the CW's Supernatural. We are into season 9. We're at the end of season 9, which means we're at the end of
We're approaching the
second-
end of the second third of
Thank
15
you.
seasons.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
don't
yeah.
worry.
Couldn't get any more clear.
Yeah,
And
it's good.
yeah,
The
great
show's
even.
good. I would make the argument it's hornier than this show. Not just this year, but in
I was
general.
gonna say, I'm like, dude, I mean, I would hope so.
Obviously this year.
Yeah, if you're missing how horny we used to be.
Yeah, if you pine for our horniness.
Yeah. Well,
If you pine for our horniness.
yeah. I mean, especially.
I mean, our relationship with the fans is weird enough. I don't think we need to open this door.
I mean, truly, it's on the edge some days.
Is it?
Some of us.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
I don't think of any of you that way.
I don't think about you at all.
Yeah. Except for you, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think about.
I think about you
you
only
a lot.
that way.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Josh is a guy that we're friends with.
Yeah, and that's it. And we don't want more out of it.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
I want Josh Gill's big fat cock.
Jesus Christ. This is like, again, not a joke, just growth.
3, 2, 1. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, Gilby to the brim. Adios.
Superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure.